So this person that we will refer to as your narcissist at the very beginning, at the very onset of your friendship, your relationship, whatever, he or she comes across as your best friend. He or she projects herself or himself as, if it's a romantic relationship, just the ideal person. I think everybody, tries to put their best foot forward, so to speak, or put on their best face. But the narcissist, it's not something that they're doing because they just want to be courteous and kind, and it's not just that they have your interest in sight, but primarily it's because they're trying to dupe you. They're trying to be somebody who they are not. They're putting on a mask. Now, everyone does that to some extent, but to the narcissist, it's totally 100%, or nearly so, nefarious. This person does not care about you at all other than what he or she can take away from you. Putting on that mask. What happens when the mask begins to slip? Now, I've used this example before in other videos, which, by the way, you want to watch some of those, but imagine that you have a dog, and you've taken that dog, or someone has taken your dog, and they taught your dog how to dance on its hind feet. So it can walk around for a while on its hind feet, and if you want, you can even dress it up, make it look kind of cute, like a clown, or put a dress on it. But that's not going to last very long. Eventually, the dog has to go back to being a dog. I mean, he's standing there, then starts walking around on his hind feet. You got him in his cute little dress or little hat, whatever, and everyone is so amazed at the dog that he can do this trick. And then he sees a squirrel, and suddenly he becomes a dog. The mask is off, the little trick, the little dancing thing, okay, that's totally gone. He reverts right back to being his true self. Now, with a narcissist, it's very similar. It may not be that instant because the mask tends to slip very slowly, but eventually it becomes obvious that this person is not who we thought he or she pretended to be. It becomes more and more evident. Well, what happens when the mask slips so much? They have so many of these tells that it just becomes overwhelmingly obvious. This is a bad guy. He's been ripping me off, or she's been taking advantage of me. I'm talking about it in a big way. This is not just your typical average individual who's just trying to put on put the good foot forward, so to speak, put on a good face. This guy's putting on a flat-out mask. I mean, he's hiding, or she's hiding something horrible, and now you know it. What happens? Well, we got 6 things for you. The first thing, and these may not necessarily be in sequence, but by and large they are, is one of the first things you will see is a bit of anger and rage. You will find this person begins acting a little bit irrational. Now, the projection, the false face, the pretense, the way they presented themselves when they had the mask on, they weren't angry people. They were very centered. They presented themselves as being very knowledgeable and got their act together. That's the dancing dog. But there are these squirrels that come through in life where the mask slips, and then you begin to see the real person, and that's where we realize that filter is not in place. Maybe there was no filter at all. They were just pretending. There is no there's this on and off switch, and it's like the breaker trips, and all of a sudden you see this person becoming, sometimes in severe cases they actually become physical, but rationality is no longer there. So what you're going to see is anger, rage, and irrational behavior. Yeah, I've been through that. I'm pushing 70 years old. I've seen a thing or two over my decades. I'm just kind of sharing with you some of those things that I've experienced, and I've been, narcissist. Thought this was my best friend in the world. But once that mask started to slip, this guy became really irrational. That's the way he's been all along, but he had it hidden. He became angry. He would explode in rage. Things that, man, I hadn't seen this before. Who is this person? Let's peek behind the mask. All right, narcissists don't want you peeking behind their mask because that is their security. Number two is they see you now not as supply, but as a threat. Threat of what? How could you possibly hurt this person? Well, you know, if word gets out that this person is wearing a mask, your narcissist is wearing a mask, that he or she is one complete phony, then he or she is not going to be able to get any more supply. You know, these people, they need their supply. They got to have it. They absolutely positively got to have it because they are weak individuals. They, maybe not physically weak, but they are insecure. They feel inferior. And they wear that mask to boost their ego. They got to have it. They got to have that supply from others to keep them thinking, you know, they're fooling themselves. It's kind of like self-gaslighting. They're fooling themselves into believing they are the person that they are pretending to be. So they are now seeing you as a threat, and you're going to take away their supply. Not only that, but you are a threat to, well, to themselves, because they're going to have to face themselves as they really are. They don't want to do that. They want to see themselves as a player. They want to see themselves as somebody who is very savvy. They want to have this self-perception that they are smarter than everyone else, smarter than you. But now you see behind the mask, and suddenly the narcissist realizes, hey, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. They don't like that. They want to feel like they are the most intelligent person anywhere, period. Number three, you can expect them to discard you. Now, what do we mean by discard? Well, what we mean by that is simply something like this. And I have used this illustration a couple times, but supposing you're using a tissue paper. I've got a tissue paper right here. Okay, you're done with the tissue paper. It served a purpose, but this is not your friend. This is not your buddy. This is not somebody you love. This is just an object that has no emotion, that has no personal appeal other than what you can use it for. Now I'm done with it. What am I going to do with it? Now keep in mind, pretend that I'm the narcissist and this tissue paper is you. I'm done with it. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to discard it. I'm going to put it there. I just threw it in the trash can. That's what the narcissist does to you. He's done with you. There's no more supply to be had. There's no more use for you. You never meant anything to this person. And again, it could be a friend, it could be a business relationship, it could be a romance, whatever it is, you are the tissue paper, you've been used up, you have no more value, you never did have value other than what supply you could offer at the time, but there was no emotional attachment. That was all pretense. That was all make-believe. The guy's a good actor, you didn't catch on, but now you do, and you are being discarded. Now, the two things. One that we call supply direct, and that is when you were fooled and you actually believed the mask that he was wearing was the real person or she was wearing was the real person. Well, during that period of time, you were supplying what to this guy? He was manipulating you or she was manipulating you often. They take advantage of you for finances. Direct supply, just between you and him or her. Well, there's another thing that we would call supply that is indirect or indirect supply. Now that you're discarded, what's going to happen? Well, the narcissist is now terrified that you are going to, I hate to use the word tell on him because that sounds kind of childish, but effectively, he or she fears that you're going to spread the word that this guy is not who he pretends to be, that he is really a bad guy who's just wearing a mask. And then we actually talked about this just a second ago, but he's terrified now, or she's terrified, because all these other people that he is using for supply, all of these people that in the future he can use for supply, you know, what we refer to as his chicken coop, they're all going to find out that the farmer doesn't really like them. He's just holding them in the coop so he can take their eggs. So he can, or eggs, depending on where you live, or that when they're done laying eggs, then he's going to discard the chickens, going to turn them into supper. So the narcissist can't allow you to warn all the other chickens that the farmer is just taking advantage of them. So what he does, and we're just using chickens as an analogy, I guess you know that. So the narcissist takes it upon himself or herself to spread the word that you are the bad guy, and he is the one who is victimized. He or she is the one that was being abused. Now, what is incredible about this is you would be surprised at the large number of people who actually believe the narcissist false story. We call this flipping, where the bad guy presents himself as the good guy and the bad guy presents you, the good guy, as the bad guy. So everything is inverted. Okay, what is that called? Well, number 4, that is called triangulation, or sometimes we call it a smear campaign. There are 3 people in the triangulation, in the triangle. There is you, there is the narcissist, and there is the third person. This is a person that you and the narcissist know in common, almost always. Could be a mutual friend, it could be a family member that the narcissist simply knows about, or if the narcissist is a family member and the third person is also a family member, you have something in common. So the narcissist goes to the third person in the triangle and notifies the third person that you are the bad guy. Expect it. Once you find out, now by the way, the smear campaign triangulation usually begins before the discard, at least in my experience. That is because, first of all, I think it's just the nature of narcissism to trash talk other people. But also I think many times it is, they're just kind of looking into the future, imagining what possibly could happen. And so it's a precautionary measure that they take, just in case they lose control of you, and they're probably, if they're older and experienced, they probably know that inevitably you're going to find out who they truly are, and so they're going to get a jump on it, and they're going to begin early talking about you behind their back. But they keep it kind of subdued because they don't want word getting back to you that they're trash talking them, but sometimes they don't care. 5th thing you can expect is the silent treatment. Not always. Sometimes the narcissist, after he or she discards you, won't leave you alone. They will even stalk you and talk directly to you every chance they can. But typically, they will give you the silent treatment. Now, not only so, but that third person in the triangle, and there are many of them, the third person in the triangle, the narcissist goes to that person, convinces the person that you are a bad guy, and that person becomes what many call a flying monkey, or I would call an agent of the narcissist, or a proxy of the narcissist. That third person is informed to keep silent, to not even talk to you, because you are such a bad person. If you speak, this is the narcissist telling the third person, if you speak to this guy or you speak to this woman, they're going to do you great harm. So the best thing to do is just stay away from them. Why would the narcissist want these other people to hate you and to avoid you at all costs? Because he knows, or she knows, that if you and this other person have a conversation, continue your personal relationship, guess what's going to happen? They're going to find out the truth about the narcissist. So he or she, many times, will break off all communication. And he or she controls the situation. They think they're really savvy and smart about this. By convincing others to avoid you, not to talk to you at all. They're very good at this. And again, as we mentioned earlier, you would be surprised how many of your good dear friends actually fall for it. What is the positive that can come out of that? Well, maybe you already caught it, but the positive that comes out of triangulation and the smear campaign is those people who are your good friends, you realize, you know what? They never were my good friends. Yeah, we need to do a video just on that, the advantages of being gaslighted. Then number 6, one of the things we realize is that we go through this period of anxiety, of pain, emotional pain, because we have been betrayed. Somebody we thought was our dearest friend in the world, somebody we could really trust, and we did trust, somebody we confided in, a shoulder that we could cry on. And now we're going through the emotional pain of realizing all that was fake. Well, what do we do when that happens? Typically, what will occur is we will take the position, the posture that we can't trust anybody. Because how do we know who is and who is not a fake? Now that can be detrimental, but there is a positive side to that as well. You know, the proverbial silver lining of the cloud. In that we need to learn to put our guard up. The reason the narcissists took advantage of us in the first place is because we were so gullible. Okay, now we can go too extreme to the other side, where we trust nobody ever for any reason. Because that will make us feel safe and secure. So we can go too far the other direction. But if we get somewhere in the middle, where we're not totally gullible, but we're not mistrusting everybody, so now we have our guard up, what that does for us, thank you narcissists for helping us with this. But what that does is that helps us to grow up a little bit, to no longer trust everybody, to be a little bit skeptical, suspicious, wondering, looking out for those signs that this could be a person who is a narcissist. Maybe, maybe not, but I'm going to watch for the signs in the future with everyone. So that is a positive outcome of something that is very, very negative. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, look at those two triangles. We got more information for you. So if you want to keep the conversation going, just click one of those triangles. Otherwise, we will see you next time.